watching the Battered Herons Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 548 of the Battered Herons podcast. I am your host, Daniel Guarana, and alongside me is usually Mr. KBD, but he couldn't make it tonight. We're talking World Cup final. We're talking Messi, unfortunately, not pulling off what we all hoped. Well, the majority of us that watched this show, I'm assuming, hoped that he could pull off getting that second World Cup trophy. And it was a really disappointing performance. Probably one of the worst performances in World Cup final history, where Argentina, they end up getting, I know up until the point where Spain scored, they didn't have any shots at all. They ended up with 2 shots. 0 shots on goal. They got 2 shots after Spain took the lead. Just a really disappointing result, a disappointing game. There's so many things. Aria the GOAT saying, I was in tears seeing Messi like that. So how long should we not expect Messi to play Leagues Cup? For those of you that are Inter Miami fans, I would assume we don't see Messi at least until August 5th, which is the first Leagues Cup game. That's when I would assume he comes back. Definitely won't see him on Wednesday. I doubt you see him next weekend. And then the weekend after that is the Columbus game after the All-Star game. I wouldn't bank on him showing up to Charlotte for the All-Star game, so he'll probably get a game suspension for that. So I would assume we don't see him until August 5th. That's just my assumption. I haven't heard anything. Let's see. Sean Callan, it took 106 minutes for 2 shots. Amy saying, guys, enough Messi won my upset. They didn't have a shot in the 90 minutes and then absolutely heartbroken. I mean, there's a couple of things we could address here. I think we could start off with Messi, all right? I think that's the most obvious. And then we could talk about the game. Because in the game, I think there's fingers to be pointed. But for anybody that's celebrating or thinks that in any way Messi didn't do what he had to this tournament, I think you're absolutely wild. Because as much as you want to avoid him, you can't avoid speed. That kid is everywhere. And he's out there right now on social media. If you're on social media, you've seen him celebrating. Because he's a Ronaldo fan, he's celebrating. But the fact that he's celebrating Messi's loss because he couldn't celebrate anything positive that Ronaldo did, I think is where it's at right now. Messi, I thought, had an incredible performance. He had 39 years old. He has the best World Cup performance of his life, really, because this is the 6th time he plays in the World Cup, and this is the best performance he's ever had. Those late game draws or winners, whether it be an assist or a score himself, I think he just had an amazing tournament. And I was surprised that they gave it to Rodri. I know that Rodri it plays an integral part in that midfield, which nobody can play through. Spain has the best midfield in the world, and nobody can play through it. And you saw it today. Argentina at one point stopped even trying, and they were just playing the long ball because they couldn't play through the midfield. They would just turn the ball over, so they stopped and they started going for the long ball. And I know Rodri is the linchpin in that midfield. But I think that's all tactics. I'm not taking anything away from Rodri. He is great, and I do believe he's the best player on that team. But that aside, I think if you put somebody else in that position, I think they can do similar to what he's done because it's the system. Whereas in Messi, I felt like he put the team on his back so many times. And Argentina, especially in the group stage, Argentina was underperforming. It was Messi that was having the Messi magic. I think that Messi honestly was robbed of that player of the tournament. And for anybody that wants to be like because this was going to happen. You're gonna say that to people, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, you don't know football," or "Oh, no, you're not a football purist." "Oh, you're just right." No, that's not true. I understand that Rodri is important, but I also think that it's the tactical way that Spain plays, and I do think that although he is the best player in that system, you put another player to put in that system, and I do believe that they have similar results. I'm not saying they're going to be as good, but they're going to have similar results because it's the system that Spain plays. Whereas when you take Messi off Argentina, they're not sniffing the final. So in my opinion, Messi was the best player in the tournament, and I thought that it was a shame that he didn't get that award. Now that goes to show you what we were having a conversation about a couple of days ago when I said Messi winning the Ballon d'Or, the 9th one, would be great, difficult, but if he wins player of the tournament, if he wins the Golden Boot, if he wins the World Cup, then maybe we have that conversation. But they managed to take all 3 of those away in a span of 36 hours, 24 hours, really, right? Mbappe ended up playing in that meaningless 3rd place game, scored 2 goals, no more Golden Boot. They take away the player of the tournament. I thought that was unfair. And that he doesn't win the World Cup. I think the dream of him winning the 9th Ballon d'Or, I think, unfortunately, if they didn't even bother to give him player of the tournament, don't bank on him getting Ballon d'Or because they didn't even give him the player of the tournament, even though he was far and away the best player in this tournament. So that goes to show you that he's not winning a ninth Ballon d'Or. In 2029, he might get the Super Ballon. That's fine, but that's unfortunate. But Messi showed up and showed out. I thought he had a great tournament. It was unfortunate, but look, he couldn't be effective this game because Spain makes sure that he never got a chance to be. And even then, Simeone had a chance because they played that ball in the box. They had a chance. And then Francisco saying he disappeared today. I don't think he disappeared. He just couldn't get the ball. You saw they couldn't put two passes together. They couldn't get past midfield. Unless he goes back and picks the ball up off of Dibu's foot, he wasn't going to see the ball. So, yeah, you can say that he disappeared today, but it's because he had no chance. They completely made sure that none of the forwards ever even had a chance to get the ball. Now, I don't know if you guys want to get into the game now, because if you want to get into the game, Enzo Fernandez, you could point the finger at him. They weren't playing good. Do they still lose? Maybe. But he gave them no chance once he got that second yellow. First of all, I thought it was a questionable yellow. I thought that backflip, whatever gymnastic crap that the guy did when he got fouled, he sold it beautifully, right? You saw that. It looked crazy. I think it's questionable yellow. You want to give it a yellow? That's fine. But the first yellow he got, that was stupid. That was a dumb yellow. And Paredes also. When I saw Paredes get that dumb yellow where he's pushing Olmo was the Spanish player. When he pushes him to the ground in front of the ref and you get a dumb yellow, he just got into the game. On top of just getting into the game, he's a destroyer. He's supposed to be the guy that's physical and comes in with tough tackles. Once you have a yellow and he had just gotten into the game, once you get that yellow, you can't play the same. Why would you risk yourself getting such a dumb yellow? Enzo and Paredes, both boneheaded plays. Boneheaded plays, boneheaded moments, and both of those could have cost them. I thought Paredes was for sure going to end up getting a second yellow at some point because of the way he plays. I thought he might. And then Enzo, yes, you can question whether that was a second yellow, yes or no. Regardless, that first yellow, unacceptable. And that was his fault. So I thought that was really dumb on both of their parts because I don't think Paredes should kind of escape away. I understand he never ended up getting a red card, but people got to talk about that also because that was completely dumb what he did. The way he got that first yellow. When you're playing a game like this, you can't take a chance of letting up a yellow card just like that because you just want to shove the player in front of the ref. You look at the replay, and he shoved him twice. He shoved him the first time, and then the guy didn't go down, so he shoved him again a second time until he fell. It's like, why would you do something like that? And then Cucurella covered his mouth, but no call. Yes, I did see that. Look, I'm okay with them not calling that. I think that's such a weak call when they do the whole covering of the mouth. I get it. And I know that they want to call it sometimes and not. Maybe they should be a little more consistent with it. But it's such a silly call. I would hate to see somebody get sent off because they were talking about them wanting to send them off for that in the World Cup final. Like I think that would have been sick. I wouldn't have liked that. Let's see. He didn't deserve that, man. I think he's talking about Rodri. I was happy for Lamine and for my Barca boys, but I was heartbroken for Messi. I really can't stand that kid Lamine Yamal, to be honest with you. I really think hopefully he turns it around, but that kid looks like he's going to be such an arrogant little prick. I don't know. We'll see. Spain deserved it, honestly. They were the better team. Absolutely. They've been the best boring team all tournament long. They only allowed one goal all tournament long. One goal. That was it. Belgium scored once. Every other game was a clean sheet. Absolutely phenomenal performance by them. But that's why Rodri, I think, got the man of the tournament, even though I think it was more of a system thing. Let's see. Whatever Spain did get ready for Messi to be a ghost. Olise, Jude, and Messi were better than Rodri. I agree with that. He was also absolutely robbed of the golden ball. The internet is going to be insufferable about this. Oh, absolutely. Especially those Ronaldo fans that have been. And let me tell you something. I mean, I know you guys do whatever you want, but why even waste your time answering back to a Ronaldo fan? If a Ronaldo fan is really taking the time to celebrate this, because they weren't. At what point did a Ronaldo fan get to celebrate anything during the World Cup? Never. So the fact that they celebrate this is pretty sad. So I wouldn't even bother answering back to them. Rodri is definitely a system player. Yeah, I agree. Can we convince Rodri to come to Miami? Highly doubt it. You know what? At one point, I thought Paredes, because the rumors for Paredes were out there. But man, like when you make such boneheaded plays in such big moments, that's a big turnover. How are you going to make such a big boneheaded play? He is a great player, and I think he had the biggest play in that Egypt game, which I don't think anybody spoke about. There was a counter where it was 2-on-1. Paredes was the only man back outside of Dibu, obviously, and he broke that two-man counter attack up by himself, and he saved that game because at that point they were tied 2-2. And that was an amazing moment by Paredes, and nobody really spoke about it, but he kind of switched it over with that performance today, or with that moment today. All right, let's see. Golden Ball is voted before the final, so today has nothing to do with it. So what you're telling me is that people decided that Rodri was the best player of the tournament before today? That's wild. If Messi scores twice and they win the game, you're telling me Messi wouldn't have gotten that trophy? I'm not saying that you're not correct. I just think that would have been wild. That would have been wild if Messi gets like a brace today. He ends up winning the Golden Boot with the brace. He ends up winning the World Cup trophy, and then he wouldn't have gotten the best player in the tournament. I think that's wild if that's true how they're doing it. Enzo was stupid, absolutely. Now he's gonna win every trophy he can with Miami this season. We're probably gonna see a spicy Messi coming through. Argentina basically played 90 plus extra minutes than everyone else because of the extra time during games. They lost their legs. I wouldn't put too much stock into that. And please, the first yellow on Enzo was 100% BS. The red on the second yellow was 100% PS. Spain not win calls. No, I'm sorry. I can't give you that. I can't give you that because you don't know what he said to the ref. Enzo, why? Why? Like, it's dumb to put yourself even in that situation. To put yourself in a situation where you could get a yellow card for that. Like, I'm sure he didn't say anything nice. Like, there's no excusing what Enzo did. For that first yellow, it's inexcusable. Him and Paredes, I thought, really boneheaded plays. And Paredes, like I said, didn't end up costing him, but could have. And yes, and then real quick, I want to jump over here. I saw this and I figured I'd rock over Dibu. Dibu had one hell of a game. The game that Dibu had, he had the most saves in a World Cup final in World Cup history today. What did he end up with? 9 or 10? It was phenomenal. Dibu, for as much as he's annoying with his antics, man, he's such a great goalie. And he would be somebody that I would love to root for if he would end up on my team, like into Miami or something. Absolutely phenomenal. He had 11 saves, I believe. Absolutely extraordinary performance by Dibu. Scaloni played like Mascherano, getting scared of the Spanish midfield with the players he had. It was absolutely poor. Did you see them try to play through the midfield, though? Like, they couldn't connect more than 2 passes. It was incredible. The pressure that Spain was putting, how suffocating they were. They had no passing lanes. Look, I got to give Spain their credit. They did it. And oh my God, what's his name? Unai Simone, the keeper for Spain. Underrated. Absolutely underrated. Because not only did today he not do much, but in the first 3 or 4 minutes, there was an outlet pass to Messi. And if Messi gets one touch, if he doesn't time it perfectly and Messi gets one good touch on it, Messi's dribbling around him and scoring. But he came out of the box. He was the sweeper keeper of the tournament. Because not only did he do that to Messi today, and after that, they really didn't have any other opportunities. Go back to the previous game against France. France was peppering that ball long to Mbappe, to Dembele, and everybody. And he kept coming out of the box and timing it perfectly and clearing the ball. He had the game that he had against France won him the keeper of the tournament because that was a phenomenal performance by Simone against France. And today he didn't do much, but he showed up when he needed to. Do you think we'll see Casemiro to the next game or not until Leagues Cup? I don't think we see him until at least next week. We're not going to see him on Wednesday. It is going to be interesting, though, because on Wednesday, Lewandowski makes his debut for Chicago, and Hugo Kuipers is gone. We thought that we were going to see a 2-headed monster, but apparently it's just going to be Lewandowski. Might take him some time to adjust, but we're going to have that preview show for that game at some point this week. We're probably with Nick from Glass House Soccer to talk to us at Chicago. So that should be interesting. Can we get Dibu to Miami? That would be a dream, man. Could you imagine cheering on Dibu? That would be insane. Just because he's the type of guy that when you're playing against him, it's easy to hate him. But man, if he's on your team, I can only imagine how amazing that must be. They couldn't get anything going all day today. The midfield and the back line were overwhelmed with the whole match. Messi couldn't even get a touch. Yeah, they made sure that Messi was a non-factor because he couldn't get the touch. CF Alves, blame Enzo for not having no self-control. And Paredes. I'm going to keep on that Paredes truck because I'm sorry. I know he didn't end up getting the red, but he also had a really dumb yellow that could have cost him. Kuipers left for less money unless the sale number on the percentage is huge. Yeah, I know. Only 8 million to Monterrey, which was really weird. Let's see. We should call this the Battered Messi fans. Sure. I mean, this is an Inter Miami podcast, and I say it all the time. I get hate on here all the time for when people say I hate on Messi. I don't know why they say that, but it's a World Cup final, and we had 2 players for Inter Miami playing the World Cup final. What other MLS team had some players in the World Cup final? I don't think any. I'm happy I got my finalisma. Yes, this was the champion of Copa America versus the champion of the Euros. So it was cool. I'm excited to see how Hoyo has the lineup without Messi because who's the right wing now? Silvetti? I don't know. Is Silvetti good to go? He might be. It's going to be interesting on Wednesday to see what the lineup looks like without Messi out there. But all in all, it was a boring game, but that's what Spain does. That's what Spain did all tournament long. I felt for Messi. I was surprised because I know he got really emotional after the comeback against Egypt. And today I was surprised that he wasn't very emotional at the end until he got that second place medal across his around his neck and then kind of started staring at the fans as they were chanting, and then he got emotional. I feel for him. You know, I'm Colombian, so you know that I'm not necessarily an Argentina supporter, but you know, I was rooting for Messi because I thought it would have been nice for him to get that second trophy. You know, you could tell how much he cares, how much he puts into it. So you know, it was it sucked. I was really rooting for him to get it. Danny, screw the haters. Messi won my respect for what he did for the club and country. Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm a Messi fan. And look, even my son made this today. So we were rooting for the GOAT. We were rooting hard for the GOAT, but all good. All right. I think that's it. Sean Connery, he was hiding to not emotional. I said right after, because right after the whistle blew, he wasn't emotional. I know. That's what I said afterwards that I saw him get emotional. But initially, he wasn't emotional, which surprised me. The whistle blew. He sat on the grass. And I was surprised that he wasn't emotional, but eventually he did. After he got the second place medal, he got emotional. And, you know, that always gets me. I feel for him. I think Messi plays in the next Copa America, and that's it. I agree. I think that's when he retires, to be honest with you. Hopefully not. Hopefully he surprises us and keeps going. But I've always thought that 2028 summer is when we see the last of Messi on the pitch. The greatest of all time. Nobody else will ever replicate what he does. No, they won't. Went into tears after seeing him leave. Yeah. All right. I think that's it. I just wanted to talk about the final. Messi. Oh, I guess we could talk about Rodrigo De Paul. Not good. Rodrigo De Paul, look, I know everybody said that he had a good group stage. I didn't watch too much of the group stage for Argentina. Coincidentally, I was on vacation a lot of those games. And in the very first game against Cape Verde, I was in Washington, D.C., so I kind of missed a lot of that. I only got to see some of the highlights. I watched every game after that. Every game after that game, he was poor. He was poor in the Egypt game. He was poor in the Switzerland game. He was poor in the England game. He was decent. But he came on when they were no longer putting any pressure and they were just sitting back and playing that low block, which gave him the freedom and the time to kind of spread the ball out and connect passes. So, I mean, I hate to be mean and try to take credit away, but that's the only reason I think he looked good in that England game when he came in the second half. And then today he didn't look good. So Rodrigo De Paul does have me worried because I didn't think that he's been looking great. I mean, he's had a better year this year than he had last year because he has a little more freedom to roam. But I was expecting him to ball out with Argentina, and it's been anything but that. So let's see. Hopefully he can turn it on. But honestly, his World Cup performance really discouraged me because I'm starting to worry that maybe his performance is dropping. Maybe he's not caring as much. We'll see. I'm not talking about with Argentina. With Argentina, I know he cares, but with Inter Miami, maybe he doesn't care as much. We'll see. But his performance is absolutely worrying me. And if he wasn't a DP, it wouldn't worry me as much. But the fact that he takes up one of the DP's designations and we only get 3 of those, that's really worrisome. Because if you think about it, we have 3 DPs. And our DPs are RDP, which isn't playing like a DP. Even if he plays okay, that's still not DP level. Berterame, again, another one that is a DP, but not playing like a DP. And then you have Messi, which obviously he has his own designation. But if 2 of your 3 DPs aren't performing at a DP level, that's a problem. But we'll see. Luis Suarez is picking it up recently. Let's see what Casemiro can figure out when he gets here. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. And the World Cup ends, and all the hype about Messi being the all-time goal-scoring leader in World Cup history. And on the final day, he ends up losing it to Mbappe, which shout out to Mbappe because he's like 26, 27, and he has that record already. But Mbappe is now the all-time leader in goals scored in World Cup history because he has 22 and Messi ended up with 21. So Mbappe kind of just stole that against England, which is wild. And I know it's a little off topic, but when you see England put up 6 goals yesterday, it's wild what Thomas Tuchel did against Argentina, the way he kind of just defended for 30 minutes. They have the talent. They have Saka, they have Bellingham, they have Kane, they have so many options. They scored 6, and they decided to defend for 30-plus minutes against Argentina because that's how scared they were of Messi and everybody else. So I watched that, and that's the first thought I got when I saw that. I was like, wow. They had the talent to score, but they ended up just buckling down to a low block because they were so scared, and they ended up paying for it. So it's interesting. Miami King saying the greatest soccer era ended. Yeah. Look, is Messi going to play in the next World Cup? I doubt it. But the way he plays and the way he takes care of his body, would I say that I'd be shocked? No, I mean, at 43, you might be able to play one more. Maybe come in as a sub. I mean, Ronaldo did it. And I promise you, Messi in 4 years are probably going to be better than Ronaldo was this year. So Spain, little bro to Argentina. Yeah, man, they definitely didn't let them do anything. They dictated the game. They dictated where the ball was going. And shout out to Rico. Why so few likes? I don't know. That's a good question. Why? Well, I would have loved to get Chris on here to give us his insight and his thoughts. But he wasn't able to get on here. But I think that I'll end it here since it's me solo. And unless anybody in the chat has anything else to add, it's unfortunate, but that's it. The focus, we knew that for Messi and RDP and everybody was the World Cup. That has come, that has gone. Now the focus is MLS, Leagues Cup, MLS Cup, and I'm hoping that Messi comes recharged and wanting to kind of just, put his stamp on everything. Add a couple more trophies since he was able to. Wasn't able to get this one. All right. I think that's it. I'm gonna end it here. Messi gonna take like 5 weeks off. That's interesting. I don't think so. I think he'll be back. Let's see, August 5th. What's today? Today's July 19th. So July 19th, there's 31 days in July, so that's 12. Plus August 5th, that's 17. You take 17 days off. That's 2.5 weeks almost. Come on. I think he'll be back. Do you want... Sean, have you not checked out the Battered Heat fans? We've been talking about it on there. If you haven't already and you want to hear about the Miami Heat, make sure you check out Battered Heat fans. We're coming out with the podcast. We talked about LeBron for feels like 2 weeks straight. I'm kind of tired of talking about him. It kind of feels like back in the spring of 2023 where we were like, okay, we're tired of talking about Messi. We don't know if he's coming, but I'm kind of tired of talking about it until it finally happened. Same thing with LeBron. But if there is a silver lining here for those Miami fans, I know some people here don't live in Miami or don't care about Miami, but for those of you that live in Miami, there's a silver lining here. History could repeat itself. The last time LeBron ended up in Miami, 2010. Last time Spain won the World Cup, 2010. Do with that information what you wish. All right, that's it. Messi will be back August 5th. DePaul will take off 5 weeks. Who cares? I don't care what DePaul does. If you're listening on audio, appreciate you listening to the end. Please leave us 5 stars and a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. And we will be back tomorrow or Tuesday to preview the Chicago game. So until the next one, have a good